thanks so much for tuning in. Happy Sunday. Super excited today. I have a special guest for you. Another one of our crazy Canadian talented artists, singer, songwriter, guitar player, vocal coach, and of course, powerhouse vocalist for the Headpins. Kat Lawrence is in the house. Hey, Kat.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Kat, so I was learning a little bit about you over this past week for the show, and an interesting factoid that I came up with was you are actually from Bermuda.
I am. Yes.
That's
I know. It's a beautiful place.
Right. So how do you make your way to Canada from paradise?
So my father is Bermudan, and my father's family, so that side of my family are Bermudians. And then my mother was Canadian. So
Right.
My father was a musician, and he was traveling around in Canada, and he met my mom.
Oh,
So yeah, so then he brought her from Canada to Bermuda after they got married, and they lived there for a few years, and then I was born, and then they moved back to Canada. So
that's so
where
cool.
I came back. Pardon me?
So you were born in Canada.
No, I was born in Bermuda.
So how old were you then when you came over to Canada, Kat?
So I would have been I was probably about a year old. I was young. So
Great.
yeah.
Cool. Well, that was, I just thought that was an interesting little bit of backstory. And well, we're glad you came to Canada.
Thanks. I'm glad I came to Canada too.
Right. So, of course, on August 11th, 2016, you stepped into an incredible opportunity. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in a bit here. But do you want to just give us a little background on the story of Kat and how you began your musical journey?
Oh, Lord. Okay. So I mean, according to my mom, I was singing before I even spoke. When I was 13, I got into a high school play called Godspell. And that was all dancing, acting, singing. And it was just supposed to be a high school production. And it kind of morphed into this big show. And in our theater, we had over 800 seats, and we did 13 shows, and we sold out all the shows.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we got, on TV for it and all kinds of stuff. And literally I had been in a band from the time I was 13 years old. And then I went on the road when I was 16. I had to get fake ID to do that. But and the funny story is that they weren't going to let me do it because they're like, no, she's too young, blah, blah, blah. And, so we sent 2 songs in, and one of them was, I believe, a Scorpions song from what I remember. And then the other one was a Headpins song. And then they're like,
what are the odds?
I know. And then they're like, get her some fake ID. Get her on the road.
Get this girl going.
So yeah.
I love that, Kat, because I really believe that musicians are born. I think it's just something that's in your blood, from the get-go.
Well, it definitely was for me. I mean, I couldn't have pushed it out of my soul if I tried. So
right.
Yeah. And nor would I want to.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So you go on the road when you're 16.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised you're not traumatized by that, because I went on the road when I was barely 18.
How do you know I wasn't?
Right? Yeah, we don't know. Well, you're hiding it very well, darling. And so what is the progression? So you go on the road with this particular band, and then what happens from there?
Well, I mean, obviously bands grow and change. Some stay together, but we went our separate ways. And I actually went back to Nova Scotia at that point, because when I first came to Canada, I landed in Halifax.
Right.
So I have a lot of family back east, and I decided to go back there and, go back to school and do all of that. And then I went to a bar one night with a girlfriend, and there was a band there. And so Rita McNeil was actually playing.
Oh,
and
cool.
then, yeah. Cool. And then they had this band that opened up. And I guess one of my girlfriends found out that they were looking for a singer. And she went up and told them, my girlfriend's a singer, blah, 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 blah. So one of the guys came up and he was trying to get me to audition. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to go back to school and, be like this. And sure enough, a week later, I'm in the audition.
Wow.
Maybe I'll just try, see where I fit into
Sure.
the picture here. And they were like, no, we want you. And so, but at that point, I had just turned 17. So they wanted, they're like, oh, well, how are we going to do this? So, of course, I started playing in bars around there, and we were trying to stay on the outskirts and stuff like that. And, I did what I had to do to play. A lot of times back in those days, I could go on stage and I could play, but then I had to leave the bar in between.
Right. Go hang out in the kitchen or something.
Yeah, so you would have often found me outside in the alley or something, waiting for them to tell me, okay, you can come in now.
Schmoozing with the locals. Schmoozing with the alley folk.
Right. But and then I actually got pregnant with my oldest son, when I was 18.
Right.
And so instead of being on the road and playing music that way, because I am a guitar player and a music writer and things like that, I started really kind of going into studio stuff at that point. So I became a behind the scenes studio musician, and I did a lot of commercials and just doing things on other people's CDs, like a guest artist and things like that. So I did a lot of that, and I did I sort of honed in on my craft when I was younger. I did a lot of other people. So what that did for me was it made me find my own voice.
Of course.
Yeah. So I was.
Of course, I love that. And Kat, I understand that you actually studied audio engineering at the Center for Arts and Technology.
I did. Yes.
Wow.
I did. Yeah, I did. So I've got a few ends of the camera covered. So that was just something I did not too long ago, probably I would say about 6 years or something ago now. So I'm sure it's changed a lot since then, but it was nice to know and be on the other side of it. It gives you a really great understanding. So when you're in the studio or you're doing things, like you know what they're going through on the other side.
Sure. Yeah, when I read that, Kat, I was thinking, what a great asset to have as an artist. Like, it just makes you a more well-rounded musician, I think, when you have a keen understanding of what goes on behind the scenes and the recording process and all of that. So good on you. I think that's amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
For sure. You know what, Kat? I'm just going to jump over here. The comments are already coming in.
Okay.
People were really excited about this show. So Shauna Lorraine, who's an extremely talented local musician and a friend of mine, just says, happy Sunday, ladies. Michael Patchaluk.
Mike. Oh, that's my stage manager.
He's saying, hey there. He's saying, hey there, little sister.
I love him. And there's a funny story about him and I too.
Oh, do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Do tell.
So when I was in the first band that I was in, I was up north in Kitimat. So that's way up there in BC. And he was in a band in Terrace. And so I guess when I was about 15, I went to the bar in Terrace and I jumped on stage with some guys and we did some songs and blah, blah, blah. Now, fast forward to me being in Headpins, and Mike and I met each other, and he's going, man, you look familiar. And I'm going, Jays, yeah, you got a familiarness to me as well. And we didn't put two and two together. It was a friend of his that was also in that band, messaged him. And he's like, yeah, isn't that girl that up north when she was like 15, she came on stage and played with us? And, and then he messaged me, and I'm like, oh my God. Yes, I am from up north, and yes, I did go in. And he's like,
it's you.
Mike. Mike was in that band.
What are the odds, eh? What a small world.
So years later, here we are, we're laughing like, no wonder you were familiar.
and now he's your stage manager.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And he's the best. Yes, I'm plugging you, Mike, but yeah, he's the best.
We're plugging you, Michael, and we love you. And thanks for joining in. That's cool that he popped in today. James Beaudry, who's another musician, James Beaudry Music, says, 2 beautiful ladies here on Facebook for an interview. Sunday couldn't have gotten any better.
Aww.
Thank you, James. James, I so appreciate your support of the show. He's one of my biggest supporters.
He's an interviewer as well. He does what you do, so he's
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
did
Say
an
that again.
interview. I believe that's the same person. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was the same person that I did an interview with before as well, a couple of years back. So
Is that right? Hey,
I'm pretty
I
sure. Yeah, that's what he does as well. So, and he's a
small
musician. Yes. Yeah.
small world, small world. And he's saying, James is saying, much love to you, Kat, and much love to you, Kelly. Thanks for everything that both of you do. Our pleasure, James. Chris Hansen says, good morning, Kelly. Awesome show this morning already. Chris, who else? Mike Dinger's in the house.
Hey, Dinger.
The Ding Man is in the house.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
awesome too, sound man. He's right in there with the crew, so he helps out a lot. We couldn't get by with any of these guys without them.
right.
We could
And
not.
I love Kat that you're I've seen different interviews with you and just your stage rap and I love that you're always conscious of acknowledging the people behind the scenes that make it happen. You know, the sound
Absolutely.
techs and the guitar techs and
Yeah, we love them. We appreciate them so much. I mean, they're the ones that people don't see what they do, but they do most of the work, right? So
right.
one's making it happen, and we go and do our craft. So we're very lucky.
Right.
It's
And to have Mike
a
Dinger.
team effort, it's all a teamwork, but those
100%.
guys are amazing. The hours they put in and the work that they do, my hat's off to them. So
Shout out to all the techs and roadies out there.
absolutely, yes. And lightmen and soundmen and backstage guys and backline guys and all the guys that when we show up to do our shows, they're working hard and we all very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so James just piped up and said, yes, he's the same person. He is that guy.
Yeah,
That
perfect. Sorry, James. I got a lot of different last names, so I figured it was you. But
So, Kat, going back to your the beginning years for you musically, was there an artist or artists that defined your decision to take this road and journey into music as a career?
So I'm often asked this question, and here's the thing: I fly out names, and I go, "Oh, this person, that person, this band, that band," and then I get out of the interview, and I go, "Damn, I didn't mention this one and that one."
I know that.
I always feel so bad. I'm like, oh no.
Right.
Right? I mean, honestly, and it's gonna sound kind of cheesy, but like every artist I've ever heard has had an influence on me, whether it's from BB King to Barbara Streisand to Ann Wilson, to
Right.
like all the Canadian artists, of course. Any female artists that I ever heard and came across, Aretha Franklin, like you name it. I was like, I gotta try that.
Right.
So I had as much exposure and in different avenues of music as I possibly could get. And I think that that's probably what made me more of a rounded artist. So, I can fly out names to you, but like I said, I think every artist I've ever heard has had an influence. So
Right.
there's not really anyone in particular. Of course, I'm a rock girl. I do like
Right.
rock, right? And opposed to a classic rock, I'm a little bit more of a modern rock girl. But like I said, Led Zeppelin, Heart, like Toronto, Headpins, like all these bands I had been influenced by.
Right.
So,
Great answer, Kat. That was a great answer. Well done.
thank you. I'm not going to leave the interview going now, damn, I didn't mention this person.
That's always the way it is. There's never a show that I do where afterwards I'm reliving it in my head because I generally don't watch them because I get critical, right, of myself. But there's always like, damn, why didn't I say that here? Or
You are a musician, aren't you?
we're the worst. So, Kat, then in 2016, you pick up the Headpins mic, and
Yep.
and here we are. So, and I know this is you've been asked this a million times, but people want to know, how does that happen? And I heard through the grapevine that possibly Alfie might have had a hand in that.
Alfie had a big hand in that. Yeah. So
Hi, Alfie. We love Alfie.
Hi, Alfie. Thank you, Alfie. I love you. Yeah, so him and I live in the same town. So the boys live in Vancouver. And I live in the interior, Kelowna area, obviously, and Alfie lives in this area as well. So, and we've known each other for years. And so they started looking for somebody else, and he told me that he's like, I'm sorry, I totally forgot about you. Your name didn't even enter my brain. I'm like, oh, thanks, a lot of info.
No Christmas card for you, Alfie.
So anyways, he was like, no, one day I was watching Facebook, and I had done a Boogie Bash show, and I had did Black Crowes too. And at the time I had a broken leg, so I was in a big boot, and I was on stage jumping around on one leg, singing Black Crowes. And I guess it popped up on Facebook, and he was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about Kat. So he messaged me, and I was working at the time. So I got up in the morning and I saw this message. Hey, Kat, you want to be the lead singer for Headpins? And I wrote him back, ha, ha, ha. Very
It's like, nice try, Alfie.
Yeah, nice joke. So, and then I get back off of work and I'm like, no, seriously. You audition for that? I'm like, oh, I guess he was serious. So,
well, let me check my day timer. Yeah, okay.
I got to think about that. Yes.
Have your people call my people.
Yeah, I'll let my people get back to you.
Yeah.
Just call them up with a disguised voice.
Yeah.
But no, he was like, oh my God, yeah, do you want to audition? I said, absolutely. So, yeah.
And the rest is history.
I guess so. I sent them a disc first, and then they wanted me to come to Vancouver and do some songs like in the studio with them and just, jam, just have a jam and see if, because you can have definitely a talent, but when you get a band together, there's got to be some form of chemistry there.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of chemistry, and I mean, that was it. We knew. So.
Right. And, I could see that happening because, and what a crazy talented lineup. You have Bernie on drums and Ab Ryan on bass and Alfie Galpin on, guitar and keyboards and Anthony Della Croce.
Hey, I gave her pointers, just so you know, Anthony, in case you're watching.
Yeah, Anthony, if you're watching and you're wondering what that was all about.
Yeah, I got the Italian in there.
I had to ask Kat how to pronounce your last name, and you said it with a decidedly French accent, so that's where the Anthony Della Croce comes in. It sounded more German.
You gotta put the Italian in it.
And so, and there's Alfie. Alfie's popping in. Hi, girls. Hey, Alfie. Thanks for joining us.
You were just talking about you.
Just talking about you. Good. And so that had to, Kat, so you joined the Headpins, and that had to feel surreal because I'm assuming you were a fan.
Oh, absolutely.
You just mentioned.
Yeah, I told you the story about how I got even on the road when I was 16 was because of a Headpins song I sang. So,
right.
Yeah, it was very surreal and very humbling.
I bet.
Yeah. And I was grateful. I mean, I worked my butt off too. So, it's a lot of hard work and dedication and sacrifice. So it's not just, luck of the draw or anything by any means. But it definitely was luck of the draw that they came across me and that they were willing to give me a shot. So
for sure. Yeah. So maybe Alfie feels like he needs commission. 15%.
Well, he should have covered that before this all started.
Too late now, my friend.
You never know, right? There's going to be a bonus for him, I'm sure.
Right. So there are more comments coming in. James is saying Kelly and her Red Bulls. No wonder she can do all these interviews.
Are you drinking Red Bull? Are you drinking Red Bull, Kelly?
Yeah.
Are you?
No wonder she can do all these interviews because angels truly do have wings. Oh, James, you're
Oh,
Aw.
James, good on you.
James, stop it, stop it,
Rude.
stop it.
Keep it going, keep it going.
I'm shooting for Red Bull to be my sponsor, so it's always on the air with me. And
Oh, very
yeah,
nice.
there you go. I don't drink alcohol, so
Perfect.
Red Bull is kind of my little treat for the day.
Yeah, and to keep you going too, right? I don't know. I can't drink them. I think they're too hard on my stomach and my system. So
Well,
but I don't
just
drink pop and stuff like that. So I guess that
moderation.
is just yeah.
It's a moderation thing, right?
Good for you, yeah, because I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 of those and you'll be up all night, right?
Yeah, never more than one. That's the rule. One at one sitting.
Oh,
So, Kat, I had the privilege of seeing you, and I was so grateful this summer because after, last summer, everyone was locked up and there was no live music. And I had the opportunity to see you at Rock the River in August, and we had a chance to meet backstage.
Yeah.
And actually, it was kind of funny because I think your comment to me was, "Oh, you're as little as I am." As short as I am, like nobody's ever.
Hey, that's the first thing that us little people notice. It's
our people, right? My people.
Amongst all these towering humans, I'm like,
right. But it was the first time that I had seen you perform with the Headpins, and I have to say, Kat, I was blown away. I was blown away.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does.
Right. I never like to think of, I don't know how to explain this, but I never like to judge anybody that I haven't seen until I see them. So I'm always expecting the best. Like I'm always like, well, they're in the band, so they have to be great. Or they have this song in the radio, and I'm just talking about bands in general. Yeah. So I went with a really open mind, and I was truly blown away. The sound and the energy. Where do you get your energy? Because you are, you're singing full voice and you're pogoing around and you're, like it's so impressive. Where does that energy come from? If not from Red Bull? I don't get it.
Well, I keep pretty good care of myself. I'm a very physically fit and active person. So that helps with endurance and things like that. Sure. Part of my regimen when I practice, to be honest, is when I sing, I'll jump up and down.
Is that right?
Yeah. So like you got to have a lot of control to keep your voice steady while you're jumping up and down. Yes. And it also, if you work out really hard and make your practice sort of exceed the performance, that when you get to the performance, it's almost a little easier. Like I don't want to say it's easy because it's not, right. But it does help condition you for that. And obviously adrenaline.
Yeah, there's got to be adrenaline when you have that many, a crowd of screaming fans. It's got to be.
Man, I can't help it, and music does that to me too.
For sure.
So, as soon as the first note plays and you hear the crowd and, all those things, they come into play, makes for a very energetic cat.
And you were. I was so, and speaking of physical fitness, I was truly blown away at like, you got some guns on you, girl. Like you're in good shape.
Thank you. We can blame landscaping and heavy equipment operating for that.
Right. Well, we were talking before the show, Kat, and we're both in our 50s, and life is good. Like I think 50 now is so much different than 50 was 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Oh, I know it is, because I was thinking it was old.
Yeah.
I'm like, this ain't old. What was I thinking?
It's just the second act, honey.
Right? I'm just starting here, so.
That's totally how I feel. I mean, I launched this show in my 50s. Oh, wow. Like and so good for you. And you keep yourself in great shape, and it shows on stage with, just your stage presence is so vibrant and energetic and electric. And so you're a mother and a grandmother.
I am.
Which kind of surprised me. It's like, grannies look a whole lot different today than they used to.
It surprises some of my older son's friends too. They're like, I thought that was your sister.
Your mom's so hot. Shut up.
Like, clearly you need glasses. But no, I mean, it's obviously they're the loves of my life. Without my family, I don't even want to go there. They're my life. Absolutely. So, and you know, the grandkids are the rewards of having children, because I had two boys, and any mother of boys knows that, you know, things can get a little crazy sometimes, but yeah, they're absolutely my joy. I love them more than myself. So yeah.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
that's a. Yeah, I don't have children myself, but I can imagine that, and you know, and then the grandchildren come along, and it's like extensions of the little mini me's, and
It's beyond. It's beyond. It's really crazy. I had two boys, and then I have the four grandchildren. And my last granddaughter, which is the fourth grandchild, I've got two grandsons and two granddaughters. And my youngest, she looks just like she's a spitting image of me. And
nice.
that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of freaky, because I was like, wow, you know, I wonder what it would have been like. Every mother wonders if they had a daughter. Oh, would she look like
Well,
me?
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, this one translated to the granddaughter. My last granddaughter is just absolutely a spitting image of me. So it's kind of freaky.
So mini me. Do the grandkids know? Well, maybe they're not old enough, but do they know that grandma's a rock star?
Well, so my older, I have the three older ones, and they're 5. And my youngest one is only a year and a half. She's not even 2 yet. So they don't quite know,
Yes.
no. And my oldest granddaughter, Harlow, her mother is an amazing vocalist and artist, and she's on YouTube and she makes videos. And so my granddaughter, Harlow, she's actually been in the studio a lot. She's done photo shoots. She's very, very privy to what goes on behind the scenes, and she's a little singer herself. So I don't think that she kind of realizes, you know, that her mom and I mean, she knows that we sing, but I don't. Obviously, she's only 5. She doesn't really quite
Right.
get to what
This is
degree.
normal for her. Maybe it's just
It
like,
is.
doesn't everybody's mother and grand do that, you know? And so it
Yeah.
sounds like she's growing up in a very cool, you know, surrounded by musicians and behind the scenes and all that, kind of like what you did. Because we
Yeah.
were just talking before the show, and you were talking about your father and just some of the people that were, you know, some of the big names that you had no clue that would just be hanging around.
Yeah, yeah. And what's cool about it is that, you know, I was influenced by mostly the men.
Right.
And now my granddaughter's growing up, and it's the women. Like, we have very strong women in our background, and you know, and
Nice.
her mom is a very strong woman as well. And you know, so it's nice that sort of the tables have turned a little bit, and it's the women in the family that are influencing the younger ones to, you know, for music.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. So
Great.
I'm really proud. I'm proud of
I
her. I'm proud of everybody. You know, my oldest son and his children, and the way, just to watch my son with his kids, or both my kids, it's just, it makes you go, oh wow.
Oh,
You
you did
know?
something right.
Yay!
Yeah, it's a total testament to Mama Bear, 100%. You know, you did something right, and absolutely you should be proud of that, you know.
Yeah,
And
and yeah,
Kat,
and
if
I'm
we could
lucky because
just
my daughter-in-law, and my youngest granddaughter's mom, and her and I are super close, and I've known her since she was a teenager.
is that
And
right?
yeah, and Ryan to me is she's like the daughter I never had. So I truly I'm blessed. Like all the people that are in my family, they're amazing people, and I'm really
Great.
lucky. Yeah.
For sure. And you know, and they probably think they're lucky too, I'm sure.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
family's huge.
I
Family
hope
is
they
huge.
do. I'd have them.
Well, they better now. So I wonder if we could just shift gears for a little bit here, Kat. You know, I was listening to I was listening to you perform a couple of beautiful acoustic songs this week.
Oh,
And yeah, and I was listening to Destiny and All Over You.
yeah.
And wow, like goose pimples, like
Really?
almost bumps, goose. Yeah, they're beautiful. And I was curious, um, the inspiration for the theme Destiny, because it seems like maybe that has a personal
It is.
background story too. The one lyric that really stood out for me was, "When you were born, you were just a little one. You had to fight for your life right from the start."
So that was my youngest son.
That's what I
Uh,
kind of thought. Right.
yeah, yeah. He was only a little 3-pounder, and we both actually almost died.
Wow.
So he came out emergency C-section, and it was touch and go for him. So he literally had to fight to stay alive. And so I wrote a song when he graduated. I wrote that song Destiny, and it was for him. And what I did was I took his life and I made a video of his life to that song.
Wow.
And then I went and I sang it for him at grad in front of his whole grad school.
God.
And at first I thought, oh, what a lame, gift. Everybody else is giving away cars and trips and like trying to get rid of their kids. Here, I'll buy you an apartment if you just move out. Like, and here's me. I wrote you a song.
But that's cool, Kat. That's cool.
Yeah, like after I did it, we were in the parking lot and there was a whole group of kids and they were sort of behind us. And I could hear the one kid saying to another kid, gee, I wish my mom had wrote me a song for my grad.
All I got was this stinking car.
Yeah, all he got me was a brand new car. So
his mom's a rock star.
We're pretty good now. Not such a bad gift after all.
It's a beautiful song though, and guys, you that are viewing the show here today, check it out on YouTube. It's called Destiny. And
yeah, thank you. That's an unplugged version. It's quite different
beautiful.
when I play it with my originals band because I have another band. So yeah, it's a different take on that song for sure. It's like a more mellow. Well, it's an acoustic unplugged version basically. So different when I hear it with the band, but I love that there's two separate feelings to it.
For sure, that's the only version I've heard, and I just loved it. And what a beautiful tribute to your song, like to your son. That's incredible. Like wow, right?
Thank you. I appreciate
and then is the other son like, where's my song?
Yeah. Well, I do have another song for him, actually.
You did?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. That will get on sometime soon, I'm sure. Yeah, it was just sort of the way it went into play. That I ended up doing my youngest son's live that way. But I have them. I have a lot of songs tucked away sort of in my bank, right? But that doesn't mean that it means any less or anything like that. It was just one of the ones that I played that day, and I picked different songs depending on the day, and that day, that's the one that came out of me. And All Over You is about a relationship that was no more, and the all over you is just meaning like I'm over you now. So
right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So is there a favorite Headpin song that you have, or one that you really love to perform live?
I do. I love Breaking Down.
Right.
I really do love that song.
That's a great tune.
Yeah, it's really is one of my favorite songs. And I love Line of Fire and Mine All Mine because it's super fun and like you gotta have attitude.
You do, and energy. That's a bounce around the stage song for sure.
Yeah, it's got that evil quality to it, so you can be a little bad, and so get that on and just give
for
her
sure. Attitude sums it up.
Yeah, and when we play dancing, because the whole crowd just is like boom, the energy that I get from that song, it's amazing. So I also love to play that song for the fun factor.
Right. And don't it make you feel that's got to be a fun one too? Because I mean, I
dancing,
saw Rock.
Yeah, I want to make you feel it. That's
the one you're talking about. Okay,
that's the one that everybody gets up and starts going. What about you, Kelly? What's your favorite Headpin song?
I have to say Dancing.
Yeah,
I have to say Winning is always another favorite of mine. I like Winning just because of the message behind it.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm always for thinking positively and constantly setting goals and achieving them and winning and then setting the next goal and all that. And so the message behind Winning really, really strikes a chord with me for sure.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with you too because of what the meaning of that is as well. It's hard to break it down into one breaking down into It's hard to sort of pinpoint it because I mean I do have for different reasons. I love this song for this reason. I love this song for that reason type of deal. But yeah, I'd have to say if I did, Breaking Down is one of my favorite sort of to sing.
Right.
Just because of I love the feel of it. It's kind of spooky, and yet, you know, it's deep, and it's very, very heartfelt. It's very powerful. So yeah, it covers us a lot in different ways.
Right. It's and you just asking me on the spot like that. I have to admit it's hard to narrow it down. Like
It is.
my mind frantically went, which one do I pick? Because
Yeah, it is hard. Yeah.
there's so many, Headpins hits, and so that makes me want to ask you, like, what do you think it is about the Headpins, machine, if you will, that continues to captivate generation after generation? What
You
do
know,
you think?
that's a great question. And I'm just simply going to say the first thing that came to my mind. And that is Brian's raw power. He was
Brian,
just a powerhouse, and his presence was bigger than life, and that really comes through in his songs. I think
right.
that the Headpins is very much a reflection, of his intensity and his perfectionism and his fun and his playing power, because that man had such a presence.
He sure did.
He absolutely. And I think a lot of those songs speak to those qualities in different songs, bring out those different qualities as well. Super talented, obviously. And just like I say, the energy he had too was amazing. And I knew him a little bit on a different level because I was a
Right.
younger girl and stuff, but he still had that presence.
Right.
To remember him the way that I do, he clearly was a distinctive man. And I mean, I knew
Made an
him
impression.
throughout my years, yes, growing up, and his energy, like even when they had hired Chrissy Steele and I went on his boat and he was like, got this new singer, blah, 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 check it out. His just even talking about it, he spread his energy.
Right.
You couldn't help it when you were around him to get that from him, and it filled you up and you became excited too.
Right. No, it was infectious. I would agree with you. I had the privilege of meeting Brian actually back in Regina, back when I was just starting out. And everything you just said, I would agree 100% with.
Right. So I think,
Really,
to be honest, like, I mean, it's his baby, and it comes through all those qualities and more that I haven't even mentioned. So that's still present today. And I know that energy gets put out to the crowd, and they feel it and they appreciate it. And whether it's taking them back to a place in their memory banks and their experiences or not, whether it's somebody who's just come and seen us for the first time and had that experience and everything, the energy hasn't changed. The excitement and the power of that music is still as strong today as it was. And that's what carries,
I would agree. I would agree,
Absolutely.
even, because the songs have such, like, they're timeless. They're
Yeah.
just timeless classic rock hits. And, I enjoyed them when they first came out, and I enjoy them as much today. And they get played on the radio today, every day. Like, we
Yeah.
have our local radio station plays a lot of Canadian content, which I love. And you hear the Headpins every day.
Yeah.
And so, to be a part of a band, that people still want to hear 40, 2020, incidentally, was the 40-year anniversary
Yeah.
of the Headpins. And so coming up soon in 2022, and it will, 2022, will be the 40th anniversary of Don't It Make You Feel, or Dancing, right?
Yeah.
What a milestone.
I know.
Will
Well,
there be
you
a tour?
got something
Will
if
there
you're
be
still playing and people are still showing up to your shows, and it's been 40
Right?
years.
Absolutely. How incredible is that? So will there be a tour to kind of celebrate the 40-year
I don't know. I
anniversaries?
mean, that passed when because that was during COVID, right? So we weren't playing that year. But I mean, can you go, well, we know it's been this many years, but we're going to celebrate that? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I mean, sometimes you don't celebrate your birthday on the exact day. You celebrate
Right.
it on the weekend because, it's more fun to celebrate on the weekend.
All weekend.
I call it a birthday month, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, I would be into it if it was proposed to me to do such a
Great.
thing, I would absolutely be into it. And, people understand that we were on lockdown. So to celebrate it, not necessarily on the 40th,
Oh,
would be acceptable because we were all
sure.
shut down for so long. So
Absolutely, Kat. And you know what I think, when it's a 40 year, like when the year celebrate is what's being celebrated, I personally think you have a whole year to celebrate it. That's just,
see,
you know,
well, we'd have to stretch that, but I'd
yeah,
be down. I'm fine for that. Absolutely.
right on. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. So there's a few more comments here, Kat. Tony
Okay.
Melissa, who's a really good friend of mine and a very talented musician, good supporter of the show, says, keep up the great work, Kat. And you too, Kelly. My good friend T. O'Neill, who's a super funny guy and a major smartass.
Oh, perfect. We'd like him.
He likes smartassery. Smartassery on a Sunday. What could be better?
Already.
So TL is making a reference to our height. He bugs me about my height all the time. And he's saying, what? Is Kat also only 3 apples high?
Okay, let's get really technical here. So Kelly, how tall are you?
I am actually 5 foot. I am this many apples. No, I'm kidding. I'm 5'3".
Oh,
How
so
tall are
you got me because I'm only 4'11".
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. CTL. there's people smaller than me. But I think that's cool because it's a small package with this dynamo voice, which I think it makes it all the more surprising when it comes out. It's like, wow, that voice is coming out of that little girl.
Well, that too. And I mean, like, I'm on stage most of the time, so I don't know how many times I've heard when I got off stage, people going, holy shit, I didn't know she was that small. Look at, there she goes, this little tiny ant. So I think it's a great illusion when I'm on stage to fool people.
Right? Yeah, you don't necessarily see it until you're off, but being short is good because people tend to want to reach stuff off shelves for you and stuff. So
I'll tell you, I can get through a crowd really quick. I just kind of bend down. People are like, hey, what was that?
Handy to have in your line of work. You can just get through 3 people. So, Kat, you're not only an artist and a songwriter and a singer, of course, you're also a teacher. Is that correct? You're a vocal teacher.
Yeah. I was teaching vocals for years. Yeah. So I went into this. Here's how it started. So I go into Axe Music. There was an Axe Music here years ago, and they had a little ad for somebody to come in and apply for a job, just behind the counter type deal, and work in the music store. So I went in the music store and I said, hey, I'm putting in an application for the job. And the guys in the music store knew who I was. And the guy's like, why don't you just apply to be the vocal teacher? And I go, because I've never taught before. Right. He goes, okay, well, you got 2 months before we start up our program. Hurry up now and and go learn. I was like, really? So I did. I went and studied and I did a whole bunch of stuff and sort of tried to, it's kind of hard, but you have to figure out a way to get what you know into a language. So just because you know something doesn't mean that you can teach it to somebody else.
Right.
Because you got to translate what you're doing into words and into action for them. So, so I did. I went away and I studied and I wrote a whole bunch of stuff down that I had experienced and knew from my past and what I was doing and the things that I had been taught vocally and blah, blah, blah. And, all my breathing and all that stuff. And I put it into a program. And I went back 2 months later and he's like, you're hired.
Sweet.
So I started in music stores and then I ended up going to music studios. And so if somebody came in to do a session and they maybe perhaps needed, some guidance or, hadn't had much vocal experience and things like that, because you would know as an artist that it's far different to sing into a live mic than it is a studio mic.
100%, yeah.
Yes, like different techniques, all kinds of stuff that you need to know. So you don't pop your P's, you're not doing that and things like that, right? So there's ways to round those things off so that they're not coming through in a studio performance, but in a live performance, it's much different. And also to sing without any type of amplification.
Right.
Because I started in theaters and things like that. You don't do that. You have
to project.
Yeah, right. And in churches and things like that. So that's a much different style as well. So there's all these different variables to sing and how to do it, depending on if it's live and you're singing through, a 57 Shure, or, you're singing through a ribbon mic in a studio, which is extremely sensitive, versus
Right.
just singing, having to project and sing in a theater type deal. So, I was really grateful because honestly, it didn't even occur to me to take what I know and to pass it on like that. And so I did. I learned how to do it. And to be honest with you, it's just as rewarding and gratifying as
I bet.
going on stage. It really is.
Right.
Yeah.
Share the sunshine, right? I'm a big fan of that. That's kind of my mantra. The sunshine is for everybody, and share that. Like,
pay it forward. Absolutely. Yes.
Share
and I always encourage anybody, you can get up on stage and blow me off the stage. I'll be the first one going, yeah.
Right.
Right. So, especially for women, because I really think women need to support other women. There's not a lot of us in this field. Like I'm a construction worker and I do operate heavy equipment and stuff. And I very often will go onto a job site and I'm literally one of the only women there doing the heavy work like that. So, good on you if you're doing it. I encourage it. And like I say, any other woman around you that you can take that influence from, then run with it, get it.
I would agree. And I love that. I love that, Kat, because I think, humans need to support each other as humans in general, but I really think there's something special about women lifting other women.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate. My circle of women that I have in my group, we have each other's backs, and we constantly lift each other, and we're constantly there for each other. And I think those friendships are like that mentality.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it always exists. I don't think it's always there, but I think if you're lucky enough to have,
and it doesn't, and some women can be really hard on other women, or intimidated and stuff, and I think that it's better to always put yourself in a win-win situation.
Right.
So if I see somebody being that way, I'm going to boost them. I'm not going to, try and take over or
knock them down.
Limelight. If anything, I'm going to, dim my light and step back so that they can have that moment. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And you know what? I get a lot more out of that personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it fills me with light. It fills me with love. It fills me with feeling good about myself. And so, all the power to all the women out there and anybody who's doing it. It's not an easy thing to do, but like I say, I do support the women because there's less of us in it. So if I'm on a construction site, I do the same thing. If there's another woman there, we're going to make sure that we've got each other's back. We're living in a man's world. We're in a man's profession in most senses. Not that women can't do it. That's not what I'm saying. But like we haven't been in the majority of those professions the whole time. So it's important for you to make sure that you're being in a win-win situation with people and give them the floor and share what you know and have fun with it. Whether it's music or not, I have just as much fun on a construction site sometimes. Like we laugh our faces off.
Right on, yeah.
Yeah, like
it's like bloom where you're planted, and like I always think that wherever you're in that moment, bloom where you're planted. Like live that experience in that moment and make the most of it and enjoy it, right? Because I love that attitude, Kat. I love that.
Honestly, I can't. Anything other than that, I pretty much remove myself. I won't tend to put myself in that energy circle or around that type of mentality. I'm very, very susceptible to anything negative and things like that. So like, why not? Why not? If you win, I win. If I win, you win. And that's great for all of us. So, yeah.
Love it, Kat. I love it. And I was just going to ask you what advice you would give your 18-year-old self. And I'm almost wondering if what you just said wouldn't have been part of it,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
to be that way. Is there anything
Absolutely.
else that you kind of wish you would have known when you were younger that you know now?
I think as a woman, I think I would have liked to have had more self-worth and more self-confidence. Um, you know, just the things that happened to me in my life, I didn't have the self-worth then that I do now. And I didn't seem to think that I was capable of what I know I am now. So as a woman in her 40s and 50s, if I could go back to that 20-year-old woman, I would tell her, you absolutely can,
Yeah,
and you absolutely will, and you absolutely deserve it, and you
that's
are
the big
worth it.
one, eh? Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's a great answer. That's probably something I would have told my 18-year-old self, as well as it's going to be okay. It's all okay.
yeah,
It's always okay.
yeah,
You know, because I think when you think back to how many times that maybe things weren't going well, or it always ends up being okay.
absolutely.
You know,
We're
but when
here
we're young, when I was young, I would panic over everything, right? So, Patty, this has been so much fun, and I have one more question for you before we wind things down here today.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, what I'm curious of is, so we talked about how you're a mother with two sons and grandkids. If you could leave a personal legacy to your kids and grandkids, what would you want them to say they learned from you?
How to love unconditionally and how to be true to yourself.
Beautiful, yeah, great.
When you love,
Great
when you love
advice.
yourself and others unconditionally, and that is like literally no conditions,
Right,
just 100%. Um, everything else I believe falls into place. So love yourself and be true to yourself, and all of that will spread to others, and that will also apply to others if you do that
right.
for yourself. Yeah, and you can accomplish anything and everything in your life when you lead with love. I know it sounds kind of cheesy,
No, it
but
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
I,
That's it.
especially in today's world, like I
Yeah,
really, really do believe that. When I first met you and I put my arms around you and gave you a hug, I do that as often and with whoever I can, even
right.
during a pandemic, because I really do believe that love leads all, and it will be
It
okay as
cures
long
all.
as we are still loving each other, no
Right,
matter what side of the person's fence they're on, no matter what their beliefs are, no matter if they're vaxxed or unvaxxed or what's going on, they're
right.
religious. If you lead with love, then I think that most things will go in a positive direction.
100%, Kat. That is the most truthful and profound thing that I've actually heard all week, because I've spent a lot of time on Facebook, and things are obviously getting very divisive, and absolutely, we can respect each other's opinions. We can learn to live with them as long as we do it with love.
That's
And
right.
even if we disagree, if we do it with
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
it completely changes the outcome of things.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's not even a question in my mind. And what a good point, whether you agree or you don't. And sometimes you don't. I find that when people don't have understanding, so when you have understanding, it opens your heart to have compassion and to be more gentle with people. So listening with your ears and not trying to think about other things while people are
Right.
actually expressing themselves to you, and that gives you a better understanding. And when you have a better understanding, you can have compassion. It just is natural for you to
Right.
have compassion or empathy for someone else. And so like I say, agree to disagree, and that's okay, but don't do it with disdain or distaste. You can just say, hey, I don't agree with you, I still love you.
Right.
But that will also make a person feel
Acknowledged.
yeah, you can be upset with me or you can not agree with me, but at the end of the day, you still love me and have that understanding for me and that respect. And that keeps the connection open.
Right.
So, we're all about connection, and music is very much, it doesn't care if you're short, It doesn't care if you're tall. Like it doesn't care, right?
Right.
And when everybody goes
Knows what
there
color.
for the same purpose, we are all connected. And you know, so if you're positive, even in the face of all this stuff, and you keep your love open, even in diversity,
Right.
it keeps the connection there. And I mean, we are all getting very disconnected.
Right.
And I'm not talking about just with COVID. I mean, with
In general.
electronics. Yeah, you know, a lot of everybody back in my day, you want to talk to somebody, you pick up the phone and you talked to somebody.
Right.
So there was the voice connection, there was the heart connection, and you could hear if they were getting upset or if they were happy and stuff. Like, you know, there wasn't that misinterpretation that can go on.
The texting and oh,
Right?
what
What'd you say that for? I'm like, that was a good thing. I was being.
Did you just tell me to go to bed? No, I said I'm going to bed. Oh, never mind. That happened to a friend once.
Right.
I agree with you, Kat. You know, I think at the end of the day, and I really believe this, I think at the end of the day, we're all just trying to do the best we can.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to find some happiness in this world.
Yeah.
And I like to think, you know, there's a Facebook meme or a saying somewhere that's, you know, I like to think we're all just walking each other home. I love that mentality, right?
Yeah, me too.
And now more than ever, right?
Yes, especially. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Thank
Kat,
you. You're wonderful. I was so grateful to meet you, and I had such a great time. So yeah, this is wonderful. You've got a great show. Your energy is great, and your questions are awesome. And I really enjoyed myself. So thank you.
Well, I really appreciate that, Kat. And you come back anytime, and we have to do lunch sometime.
I would love that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Little people.
Well, you got my number now.
Sneak in and grab a table.
Hey, I'm bringing my guitar because I'm going to get you singing. And
right, it would not be fun.
I may have to get you singing with me because
we talked about that, but there was not enough time. But maybe for next time, for sure.
You know what? Let's make a plan. I would love to do that.
Let's do it.
Guitar and we'll sing a song together.
Sounds like a great idea. And you know, Kat, I just want to say on behalf of all the viewers and the headpin fans. Wait, what? Where am I? Headpins fans. the red Bull's wearing off.
Here you go.
But I just do want to say on behalf of everybody, we love you. We're proud that you're Canadian. We thank you for picking up the torch, you know, and making it possible for all of us to continue to enjoy the timeless, incredible headpin songs that we've grown up with and still want to hear. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. And you know, it goes right back to everybody because without the crowd and their acceptance and the fans, I wouldn't be here. So so thank you to everybody for seeing my love of the music and letting that lead the way. And love, of course. But it's all about the music. So yeah. So we let the music take the lead and we're all just happy to be there. So right. I appreciate it. And my thanks goes out to everybody too. So thank you, my love.
Awesome. I got you, Kat. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Kelly Barrett, Etcetera, on the Vibe Live here. I really appreciate you watching today. Stay tuned for next week's guests. Until we see you then, take care, stay safe and sane. And now more than ever, just be really nice to each other. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Love you.